Now, okay, well, we'd like to welcome everyone who's with us this morning. It's with great pleasure that I will have the time in just one moment to introduce our guest speakers. Before I do that, I just like us to have a word of meditation. Jesus said, "Truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me." That Christ taught us the importance of giving. The wise men bestowed gifts on Christ, and Jesus himself made it very clear that following him meant caring about and giving to others, particularly the poor and the disinherited. And we thank you, God, for being with us this morning and helping us to continue to learn how to give. Amen.
Amen.
So, last week we heard myriad ways that folks at Bradley Hills are giving of their time and their efforts. This week we're going to learn how to frankly give of what you have to others in many ways. I can remember back in the late 80s, early 90s, I was teaching at Eastern Middle School, and one of my students, who was a foster child's mother, died right around Thanksgiving. And the family had basically nothing. They were devastated. And our church took over and really bestowed on them Christmas. But at that time, that was the only family that we were really focusing on. Soon after that, the Angel Gift Tree started. And Elizabeth St. John, she'll learn a little more of the history. She may even correct what I'm saying now. But anyway, the church began to become much more involved in reaching out in myriad ways, which we're about to learn about. And in fact, I think our church itself is an avenue for giving in an informed and really well-tested way, more than almost any church in the area. So it's with great pleasure that I welcome Elizabeth St. John and Bonnie Holcomb, who have been working on this to make it such a meaningful avenue for all of us. Thanks. Oh, I will say that as they talk, if you need clarification, raise your hand, let us know in the chat, and but with brevity, so that at the end we have a little more time for question and answers.
And sharing stories.
And sharing stories. Right.
Hopefully there are some of those. So hello, everyone. We are here together, sitting side by side next to the computer that will demonstrate our presentation today. So Carol's asked us to introduce ourselves. I'm Bonnie Holcomb. I am an anthropologist by profession and have found a wonderful home in this church for global outreach as well as local programs that address inequities, and have found that many people here enjoy this dimension of the church as deeply as I do. As Carol referred, the Alternative Gifts program that we're presenting today has gone through several iterations. It grew out of the Angel Gift Tree when we started giving in honor of people as part of the program, and eventually lifted the Alternative Gifts program out, and it's taken on its own identity. And this year marks a very important milestone in alternative gifts, because we're offering and urging our congregation members to share this through the Giving Tuesday global program with people outside the church to attract funds and awareness of these particular ministries of justice with non-church members, with friends across the country and around the globe. We did a bit of a trial run last year and had a lot of support for a couple of the programs that used that. So keep that in mind as you listen to this, and think of your friends that you'd like to share it with. Think of corrections you might give to us or clarifications we might need as we launch this. This is the test run for the presentation, the slideshow presentation, and we will make whatever changes we need to and launch it probably middle of the week. So we do thank Elizabeth Bullock for extremely careful work on this. She has been an enormous support, and as have the staff, and particularly Denise has been terrific in bringing us to this point this year. So we're glad to present this at Alternative Gifts. I'll let Adult Ed. I'll let Elizabeth introduce herself, and then we'll enter the presentation.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Elizabeth St. John, and I am not a cultural anthropologist, but I have a heart for mission. And I think that's where all my qualifications lie. I'm going to start by speaking to the first of our projects, which is a water circle. And there's a little bit of background as to one of the reasons that we brought a water circle into this. Many of you know that we had a strong connection with Anacostia going way back to when Karen Werner was here, and our youth started going into Anacostia Park a couple times a week in the summer to do a summer program with the kids there. And then we, after that ended, we began a very strong relationship with the Children's Center of Anacostia, which had to shut down a few years ago after its director passed away. And we still wanted a connection there. And we already had a connection with a water circle, but a water circle happened to open a location in the Highland dwellings in Anacostia. So that has actually served some of the same families that we were serving through the Children's Center. It's not that we are actively involved there, but it's a nice way to still have a connection and to feel like we're still making a contribution to the folks who live in Anacostia. A water circle, most of you know, their goal really is to end poverty. It sounds simplistic, it's not. They are a remarkably effective organization, and they are headquartered not far from here in Silver Spring. We still do Thanksgiving baskets with them and some other projects. We're not as involved in the Christmas project with them as we were, but we continue to occasionally have volunteer events there. We do the Thanksgiving baskets, as I mentioned, and we do send extra gifts that arrive during the Christmas gift project there, as well as take contributions here through Alternative Giving. They do an amazing job of helping people get what they need to furnish their homes and to provide all kinds of workforce training, clothing for people who need to do interviews. They address all kinds of issues. So they're a very worthy organization. The next one I want to touch on is our own homegrown summer mission trip here at Bradley Hills. Those of you who have had the distinct pleasure of sitting in our services on the Sundays that our youth report back from their mission trips have a sense of how life-changing these mission trips are. And it's just a very moving thing to watch how the kids are changed and how the adults are changed that go with the kids. And the children also, or the youth, tend to have work projects on site in wherever location they're headed, and build relationships with the community in need in that location. I'm being vague about that at this point because we don't have the location defined yet for 2024. But the relationship building on all levels is just incredibly important. And the self-confidence that comes out of it, the new skills, the whole issue of mutual respect. And I think it's just life-changing for short-term and long-term. And they always need more adults to go along, so bear that in mind. Besides contributing to it, you can contribute your time to it as well.
Very well.
You know why they're still talking that after the service?
Mm.
So sleep's coming.
The next project that's receiving alternative gifts funding is Village Health Teams in Buyobo, Eastern Uganda. This project started here at Bradley Hills, actually proposed in a mission forum in 2001. And by 2003, Joy Panagidis and I went to the village where Edith Mafabi grew up, met her
Wow.
brothers, and connected with the community there to launch a program for community assistance. We created a partnership with the Buyobo and at that time Buteza Community Development Association. We worked with them very closely. Edith and June played a very important role in bridging the two communities and developed a village health team's presence there. We have a connection with the beginnings of the Women's Microfinancing Initiative that also came into this community and drew on some of the roots of trust and goodwill that had been built up in that project. But this Village Health Team program has continued on a parallel track to provide a model for what was sitting in the books in the Ministry of Health, but had not been activated yet. So we worked with the community here to breathe life into that program. For many years, it was part of our budget. And now we support it, continue to support it in this way. So people who want to contribute here will provide supplies like these boots that are pictured here that help people trudge over the terrain, protected from snakes and mud and whatever, in bringing clean water, essential latrines, first aid assistance, and basic training for people in that region. So this has been a project that is 20 years old in this year. And we're very pleased to continue to support them and to see how the Women's Microfinancing Initiative has actually supported this project too, and has grown, as you heard, so beautifully, exponentially through the countryside and changed the face of that community. I'm going to let Elizabeth go back to our other Anacostia project because she has been working at Anacostia. I'm not going to tell how many years.
This project is Eden at Faith, Eden standing for everyone deserves to eat naturally. It is, I will say, a little bit in transition because originally we were emphasizing the garden at Eden. But in the last month or so, the groundhogs won and wiped everything out in the garden. So on a parallel path throughout the year, we have also been involved with Faith Presbyterian, which is the site of the garden, to provide food for the community, and that goes on. And so and we have volunteers that go down and work with the members of Faith to distribute bags of nutritious food to the community a certain number of times a year. So the emphasis is on feeding that community, on providing new education for nutrition, helping with the food sovereignty issues. For a time we were involved with the employment opportunities. That's not so much the case now. But you can participate in this either financially or by showing up when requested to help distribute the food. Right,
Joan.
pardon me?
Joan can put them in touch with.
Yeah, Joan Burns is the one who makes those contacts available.
Yeah, I
Okay,
read
great.
that.
What is food sovereignty?
Steve asked what food sovereignty we talk about. Briefly.
You know, nobody's ever asked me that before, but I would say that it's the sense of having some control over your destiny in terms of how you eat and where you get your food and have the ability to get that food.
Okay.
It's far different here in Bethesda than it is in Anacostia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The access to grocery stores, the access to fresh produce. It's just a remarkably different sense of sovereignty, and I think that's the best way I can define that.
Okay.
Number 5 in our list of choices is a testament to the kind of goals that we set out when we decided to work through the year for justice. Bradley Hills and BJC considered about, I'm thinking 10 years ago, maybe a couple more than that, whether or not they would pick up a program that had been working in Ireland and working in South Africa to bring young people from both sides of an entrenched conflict together to have work opportunities and to meet and live together with each other in Washington, D.C. Or in another location. In our case, it was Washington, D.C. And these young people get interned, are selected, brought to D.C. and have internship opportunities in government and business. This puts Israeli Palestinians from the West Bank and from Gaza together, and they learned over the summer to tell their stories. They listen deeply to each other. They combine, they work toward creating a new narrative and a new story for the region and a new vision for the region that they come from. This has been highlighted and underscored in its value in the last couple of months with the outbreak of the war in Gaza and in Israel. These alumni have been in touch with each other, are working very hard together to hear the stories, to go underneath the public narratives to what is actually occurring, bringing information and compassion to what has been occurring locally for each of them, and working to accomplish the goal of this program, which is to tell a different story and bring a different vision and work toward trying to find solutions to deep conflicts. This model is important. We have supported it. We've had BJC and Bradley Hills members have hosted these young people in their homes. We have an event every summer in which they meet in our shared space. We are able to witness to them for what we've accomplished here to work together. And it's usually mid-July. It is an important part of their summer together here. So we offer this as an opportunity to support this program, particularly now they're working to bring in to support a new full-time person who keeps the group together. And that person has been extremely important in the last few weeks in reaching out to all of them. So that is New Story Leadership.
Before we move on to the next one, Bonnie, tell them the number of alumni that.
When we started this, as I said, I think it's 10 years, it's 140 alumni have gone through this program and are in contact with each other, all of whom are actively communicating with, have been found and are actively communicating with the coordinator.
I find that incredibly moving. Now, this one is for the healthcare in Gaza at the Al Ali Arab Hospital. And this too is particularly moving at this point in time. I think all of you know that their specific site was the site of a bombing a few weeks back in October. And you know, that was, that just was overwhelming for us who have had a relationship with them. But obviously very overwhelming for them. Hundreds of people were killed on their site. Fortunately, the infrastructure of the building continues to be pretty much okay. But during the events that have taken place, much of the staff has lost their housing. They've lost so much. And of course, the community has just lost an incredible amount in terms of their lives and everything else. But in terms of speaking about the hospital, we included this particular photograph because this is the operating room coming back up online after that bombing. These folks chose to come back to work and to continue to serve their community. And that's not something you're going to see everywhere. But in the introduction today, Carol spoke, and when she was talking about the quote about Jesus, she they brought me back to this because I was reading just this morning to see if there were any more updates on the hospital. And I was reading the Episcopal Diocese of Jerusalem's site to see what the updates were. And they were specifically talking about the operating room crew, and that these individuals they come back to this work because it's their philosophy that taking care of any patient is the equivalent of taking care of Jesus. And that was very powerful. Now, the hospital basically is not functioning because they don't have the supplies or the water or the power that they need. But we have full confidence that as soon as those things are available to them, they will be operating, even if it's on an ad hoc basis. They will be there and serving as best they can whenever they are allowed to do that. They still have a building there. The building needs some repairs, but they will be back up and running. If you're interested in more information, you should check out the Episcopal Diocese of Jerusalem's webpage and look at their reports on healthcare, because they give you a lot of detail, and it's really a story worth telling and being aware of.
This is the attack on this hospital. Was that the one that was the result of a misfired Palestinian rocket?
We will never know for sure, but that's the report.
That's the report. This is not the result of an Israeli attack, apparently, though.
Again,
Right.
that's
Apparent.
the assessment
Yeah.
of the situation. We won't get into, I won't get into any political commentary about it. But we do know that the suffering was immense.
Yes.
People had taken
doesn't change.
refuge on the compound.
Mhm.
That's why so many
There
hundreds
was a
were
lot of people
killed.
outdoors.
Yes.
The next one is the Asia Pacific American Legal Resource Center, fondly called APALRC in our meetings. And it's here for a very specific reason. We have had very strong feelings that there's a tremendous amount of, for lack of a better word, there's a tremendous amount of hatred against Asians that has been surfacing and resurfacing in different parts of this country in different ways. And particularly, if you've been here a long time and you have resources, it's still difficult, but you know how to cope and know how to respond. But when people are victims of this hatred or victims of the bias that come out of this, and they don't speak English very well, they're low income, they're often recent immigrants, they can't begin to know what their rights are, how to respond, how to navigate the legal system. And this program offers them help to do that. They do everything they can to educate that community, but they offer individual representation for free. And they are also advocate on a systemic level. So I think it's, it's not something that you hear a lot about, but I think it's very important. And everybody has a different radar screen in life, but I got a little glimpse into just a side piece of this one day. I was in line at the bank, the Capital One Bank, and the man in line behind me started cursing and yelling because the Asian woman who was at the teller was taking too much time. And he was not kind in his words. And it was totally directed at her in a very hateful way. I chose to stop him, and I just put my hand on him, on his shoulder, and just asked him to stop. But it was just shocking to me. But I had not witnessed, I don't think the woman knew what was happening because she was very caught up in what she was doing with the teller. But it was so stark to see that in our merry little lives here in Montgomery County, but it's alive and happening here too. And any way we can help address this, I think is really important.
Thank you, Elizabeth. The project that you see now is called Gen Out. We started supporting this about 5 or 6 years ago, and we have been really pleased to see that the program continues. Some of the members of our congregation have participated in this chorus. Every year they have a concert here at Bradley Hills, some integrated into worship and some special programs. This particular support, donation to this, gives us an opportunity to provide transport for the students to get back and forth to concerts so that they can have some community together time, bonding. We support music lessons through this program, and a gift here is an opportunity to let them continue with the preparation and the performance of the concerts that are requested all across the Montgomery County or the Washington, D.C. metro area. The Gay Men's Chorus has supported them. They have really given them some excellent skills and opportunities. And we're very pleased that the Presbytery also gave a grant to support this group. So it has been embraced by other churches in the region. So this is a good opportunity to give an amount that will help with the music lessons, transport, and programming for these kids so they can continue to perform and bond.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Youth, can it include like what age, like high school, college, like what's the age range?
Do you know the age range? Most of these kids were in high school.
Okay.
I think they have to be 15 or 16, but Nadia had told us, but I don't remember
Okay, yeah, I was
specifically.
just curious, yeah.
And these are LGBTQ plus and allies. So there are the kids who are not identifying as LGBTQ want to support their friends sing with them. So that's what the allied youth refers to. This is a program close to my heart because it operates in an area that I know well. This group is called Resources for the Enrichment of African Lives. It's very creative program that was started to keep very bright rural girls in school, because the first line of defense when a family member gets sick or an extra farmhand is needed is to yank a girl out of school and put her to work and tell her she can go back someday, which rarely happens. And what this program did, and its executive director, Sahai Wadajo, who lives in Minnesota and has actually given presentations in this room to us about the program, said we need to not only give girls scholarships, we need to give them support with a mentor, and we need to let the community elders know that we will provide a stipend for these girls and support for their community as a reward for their letting them go. And this has given a lot of support to the return of girls to school, and they are doing extremely well. Denise and I were on a call last year in which a woman waited patiently to tell us that this program changed her life. She was articulate, gracious, and really heartfelt in saying that this saved her in a way that she's now able to come back and give back to her community, and she's returning to the community as a medical professional. That is not the one who's pictured here. The one who's pictured here started out when we supported her in 2007. You can see her picture there, which she was posing for the camera. And this is the glamour shot they did for her for her graduation from medical school. And now she is an active full-time medical doctor in the region. So they're celebrating their 20th anniversary of formation, and they've been recognized as a program recognized by the Ethiopian government, which is a 3-year application process. And so now they have a status that is allows them to receive other funds, but they still have asked us, excuse me, to keep this program in mind and to share at Giving Tuesday the opportunity to support these programs, because they are thinking to create 3 new centers. I must say that Ethiopia has been in political turmoil with a lot of conflict throughout the countryside. And increasingly, as in Sudan, in Ethiopia, rape and extreme violence has become a weapon of war. And the mentors who have 15 girls under their care have protected all of them. None of them have been attacked when many of the communities are at risk. So that is a very important outcome of this program. I'll let Elizabeth speak to CASA, which is a local program.
So this is the CASA that is involves court-appointed special advocates. There's another CASA that works locally with Latino immigrants, but this one is really its entire focus is on advocating for children through the court system. It was brought to us because we have 2 people in the congregation who are heavily involved, and some others have joined in since it was presented last year here. But it's the whole idea is to train and support volunteer advocates so that every child that lands in the court system through any variety of safety issues, they need the courts themselves don't have enough time or energy to track every single child every single week and be engaged enough to really know what's happening. So they count on these volunteers who stay in touch with the child for whom they are advocating. They stay in touch with the schools, with the teachers. They get involved with the kids on a lot of different levels. There's a wonderful video on the site that one of the volunteers talks about how he is the one who's taking the child that he advocates for to the child's college visits. So there's a lot of involvement if people choose to have that. It's very effective. The judges say they really could not do their jobs without it. I opened my iPad here because I wanted to read one little piece from it, because I think it's worth all of us realizing that they're talking about just today in Maryland that 22 children will be abused, neglected, or abandoned. Today, 11 children will be removed from their homes due to abuse or neglect, and they'll enter foster care. And there are 5,000 children under court protection today that are awaiting safe permanent homes. The average wait is more than 3 years. I am really pleased that we have additional members of the church who have stepped up and taken the training to become advocates. And I think that I think one is headed towards being a foster family. I'm not sure about that. But again, it's just one of those programs that speaks to us, and I think it does a terrific job of advocating for the kids who need it the most.
Donations to this program go to the training of these court-appointed special advocates who volunteer to do this. Susie Waltzer and Jennifer Klein brought this program to us, and last year was our first time to offer it. It got a lot of support, and I think that it's important for us to keep this opportunity on our radar screen. Asia at Foreman Christian College scholarships have been our biggest, most well-supported program since it came on to Alternative Gifts. There are people in this church who actually donate full scholarships for women each year. We support 9 this year, 5 Muslim women and 4 Christian women at Foreman Christian College in Lahore, Pakistan. This program is an opportunity to make a difference in a volatile part of the world, and this is the very deeply embedded in Bradley Hill's and Presbyterian commitment to education and working toward finding creative new ways to establish peace in areas that struggle with that. And I can also add that the woman pictured on the front of this presentation is one of our recipient scholarship students.
The Presbyterian Disaster Assistance Gifts of the Heart or disaster relief kits are something that, like so many things, that it speaks to me. I think that's a very important part of Presbyterian disaster response and disaster response in from other organizations as well. We have started annually having a service event where we assemble the kits here, and we then take those kits to Church World Service, and they have a warehouse in Maryland from which they are distributed. But they are an incredibly effective disaster relief tool. We talk about in one great hour of sharing, our responding to those in need. And when you're talking about wanting to make a difference or being in prayer for victims of disaster, know that if you have supported kits, you are literally there on the ground with the response teams, because the kits you have supported are distributed. And sometimes it's the first sign of hope that somebody gets in that situation. Something as simple as a hygiene kit, having toothbrushes and soap and things like that, and a comb for members of your family, is just simply huge when you have nothing else. The school kits are incredibly important for the children. It also helps keep them occupied until schools actually are reopened. And the cleanup kits allow the families to start actually cleaning up at their own ruined homes, or whatever the case may be at that from that particular disaster. As disasters increase, and they are increasing, they affect more and more people that we know. And it used to be something we didn't think about so much, but we're seeing the effects of disaster all the time. And the need for kits just increases and increases and increases. And they're again, it's your opportunity basically to be Christ on the ground and be there responding to people who need it the most.
Our members, Rebecca, Lou and Paul are organizing the assembly of disaster kits, and donations given this year will go to the fall assembly. We do support it with a budget, but it's very important to be able to expand, and the supplies are purchased and added through this program. I'm just drawing your attention to Friends Club. Many of you know Friends Club as a sort of gentleman's club that meets actually in this room 4 days a week, that provides what most people describe as a godsend for people who are struggling with stages of Alzheimer's, and for their exhausted caregivers who are given a respite during that period, and support groups if they're very interested and willing to do that. The Friends Club is a much loved ministry here, and really deserves support and awareness. So when you pass the alternative gifts opportunities to friends of yours, draw attention to this one, because people should know that this program is quite unique, and provides opportunities for conversation, for walks, for music. Performers come and play old songs that people knew way back when, and test them as to what is what food is mentioned here, what state, how well do you remember the lyrics, and it's great fun. Then they have lunch and go home very happy. So it's
I have a question.
yes.
Also, anybody can support it, you can do it. Sometimes I bring some brownies or banana bread,
Mhm.
or they are eating. And then they also like to have some kind of expertise or something, or your interest.
Mhm.
They have been asking me again. I show them the Ikebana,
Okay.
the simple one, and they're all very interested. They react.
Can you hear? Can you
put that so that
online
other
hear that?
people-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
to make sure.
Excellent. B has even taught classes in Ikebana for a Friends Club. So she's talking about how how there are many ways to support it. And-
You might remember, before the pandemic, I had an exhibit of old maps in this room.
Yeah. okay.
Friends Club reached out to me, and we spent a whole hour just talking about two maps. One was a hand-drawn map that a couple of little girls had done of an imaginary playland that they had designed. And we talked about how much fun it is to create something with your grandkids. And then we looked at a 19th century map of Bethesda, and everybody spotted different things in Bethesda that they can still identify.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it was a wonderful hour.
So I did a three flower arrangement to show them, because they won't be able to follow me to do that. So what I did is at the end, I have a questions.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they answer, if they answer right, they got a flower to take home.
That's wonderful. That's
Oh,
wonderful.
just sort of going along, Rita has had a question early on
Oh,
about the difference between the youth mission versus the youth conferences. And there's a fund named after Amy DeCourt. Maybe you could answer that real quick. I don't know. Do you know? Okay.
no.
People are asking about how you donate here, because.
We'll go over how you donate.
Oh, okay, good.
We decided to flip it this time.
And then Regina was asking which projects are funded in the budget to address that. And she just noted that the Friends Club, I think that Marty Gansglass was a passionate.
Marty
volunteer.
Gansglass, our beloved friend from
Yeah.
DJC, was a constant volunteer at Friends Club.
And then
Yes.
Michael wants to know if there's a link to the Eden Anacostia program, to the program.
There is.
Okay.
Yes, there is.
Well,
We'll show how that
We
works.
can keep going. Thank
Okay,
you.
we only have two more,
Okay.
three more. One of the functions of alternative gifts that we discussed in the coordination group is launching something new, letting something be presented to the congregation and to the community to see what kind of support and interest it generates. And other parts of this program have to do with funding a very particular aspect of a church-supported program. So they're not all identical in the way they relate. Queerly Gathered is a new ministry, new worshiping community launched by Matt Nabinger and Kali Bronkema, who is at Geneva Presbyterian Church in Potomac. This was created, designed in 2022, and the Alternative Gifts Program provided some of the seed money. So support from members and from others who knew about this community were able to support through our program here. And they began small, and they are growing in a very careful, intentional way through a range of different opportunities, gatherings. That the pictures that they sent us, we chose this one, which shows the group together posing, but there are some that show them gathered around the fire on at a picnic. They have reached out to people and then begun to create worship opportunities that are meaningful and that have the potential for becoming an ongoing worship opportunity, worship experience. Now the Presbytery and the PCUSA have given small grants, seed grants to Queerly Gathered. Matt has been ordained on the 8th of October. We're very proud of him. And this is part of his ministry, as he also continues with adult education, with education ministry here at Bradley Hills. So this is an opportunity to share the program and to bring contributions to the program from people who will be interested to reach out to this particular community that are people who are interested in worshiping together in a new and creative way. And I'll let you go to the next.
This one is called simply My Dorm Room. And the woman who created it was inspired by Michelle Obama's story and from her book. And you'll understand in a minute, I think, that the focus is to alleviate what's really an invisible inequity that first generation students face when they start college. No one in their families ever gone off to a dorm before. They often have very limited funds. They don't know anything about setting up a dorm room, what you need to be prepared, what you need to feel comfortable for your first day of actual life on the college campus. And Michelle Obama had shared that when she was the first person in her family to go to college, and when she was setting up her dorm room, she knew nothing about extra length sheets. And she said she literally spent the first year of college with her feet hanging off the end of the mattress and and uncovered feet, because she didn't know that sheets existed that were long enough for her long legs. But nowadays, people tend to know more about these things. But if you're new to this, you don't know. The students, the way this works, this is a locally designed program here in the woman who runs it is out of the Chevy Chase area. And it's a startup. It's their first round of dorm rooms, and students that were treated to this process got settled in their dorm rooms just this August and September, a couple months ago. The students who qualify are awarded up to $200 in spending from what is referred to as a curated registry of essential dorm items. So they're pre-approved items. They're available, and it's just like a wedding registry. You can go online and select what you want from within that limit. And then those items are ready for the student to pick up when they arrive on campus. So they don't have to go into the store and do the shopping. But the outcome is controlled but very helpful. So far, the students who have been part of this program have been very, very pleased to get these items. You see one of the photos of the young woman receiving her items here, and the $200 covers one student, but any portion of that, of course, is welcomed. We'll see where it goes from here, but its first year has been quite successful.
Is this the first year for us to participate in this program?
Yes.
Yes, but it was also 2023 was the first time it existed.
I understand that, yeah.
Yes,
but
and this is the first time we've offered
for
it.
us to have it.
Right. And our last program, aside from the general fund, is a program that Mila Williams brought to us. She was aware of it because a friend of hers from Duke, who became an orthopedic surgeon, started setting up these mission trips to Mexico. They went to other places for a while, and now they go exclusively to Mexico to do orthopedic surgery, to correct limbs and disabilities that have been with these kids since birth. They come in and they literally operate on, prepare 150 kids in 1 week. They have it set up all year long so that they can come in and do these surgeries and then reach out for recovery, for physical therapy. You know, orthopedic surgery is a particular love of mine because I have had some joint replacement, and I know what is involved and how life-changing it is, and how the physical therapy and the follow-up is very important for, you know, getting full function back. And these kids didn't have full function to start with, so there's a particular celebration. This has been a popular program and is very life-changing. And as our little guy here with the lollipop was our poster child last year, it got good support, but it did have a hiatus during COVID, and it's back functioning now. So we're putting it back on. We do have a general fund that is available for discretionary, you know, to give. If people aren't sure which to give or what might need more support, they can give. You can give to this fund. So let me. I don't think that I need to go. I don't want to go all the way back to. I'm going to go back to the beginning. I think I just have to click through. Sorry, folks. Here. This is our poster child this year. She is one of our scholarship students from Friends of Foreman Christian College. So I want to answer the question that came up in the chat about how to participate in the program. And I also want to remind you that I asked, please look at this with an idea of how you would share it to others who are not members of the church, who would then be able to participate at Giving Tuesday or through the year, giving gifts from this list in honor of friends. So we've identified these projects to bring with a specific focus of bringing justice to struggling communities, both in the US and abroad. So we ask you to pick the project and then to consider donating on behalf of a friend or loved one. You can give a card, which is on the next slide, and know that these funds are at work all year. And they build over time, as we've seen with some that have made an enormous difference with health and with justice, with our New Story leadership, with our hospital, with our scholarships over the years. The greeting card can be downloaded here. We have some here at the church for those of you who come into the building. And then you can identify to your friends of what you've given in their honor. So particularly we want to underscore that these donations address inequities and that make a real difference, and that we should be proud to actually share these with our friends. Did I skip?
And in this link, there's a link in the email from church or online. We can go onto the website and the links are right there.
There was a reference to slide 26 there.
Yes. We take a credit card if you're willing to enter your credit card information into the Realm program. And you can also give a check and mail it to the church or give it here at church when you're in the building. And the greeting card information is available as I pointed out above. Checks need to be payable to Bradley Hills and just designate alternative gifts and specify the project you want to support on your check. Now, to participate through online, you donate. There's a click here to donate for each of the programs. It's here in the presentation. It's also on the website when you go to the website. And you'll be able to scroll down and pick and click. For example, this one, if you wanted to give to the Gen Out Choir or to the Gaza Hospital, that's number 8. You click there and then continue. And the totals will add up here. And it's as easy as pie. It will take you to the website, and Jan has set up all the numbering, and the donations are available, or the donations will go through in full amount, 100% through to the programs if we give between now and the end of December. Cutoff is December 31st at 11:59 p.m.
Oh, good. So you can keep going.
You can keep giving, and many people do choose to give to this as an end of year and to give back,
Yeah.
through this program, which is really very good. We want to just, suggest to you that you should invite your neighbors and coworkers to participate. Think about your doctor, dentist, and hygienist. We have the programs in health and healthcare workers that you can give in their honor. Teachers particularly get gifts that they don't know what to do with. They're gifts from the heart. People want to give something to the teacher, but they have enough Christmas ornaments or apples and
Mugs.
and mugs.
Or
And
Starbucks
they-
gift cards
they've
I
ex-
always get.
Yeah.
they've actually expressed appreciation for personalizing the gift to this extent.
Love someone's gift.
Think about giving in memory of a loved one, or recognize the loved one of a friend this year who's been lost, and you can make a tribute to celebrate that and to recognize that person's passion. I've given gifts to Friends Club in honor of people who have passed, and it's been very much appreciated. They're also very important professionals in your lives. You don't know what to give them, but you want to recognize them. This is a good opportunity for that. And it can be, it can be something that takes funds away, maybe from Neiman Marcus or Macy's, but the funds that you normally would not be spending on other things besides gifts. Think about and give some thought to this, to give appreciation to those who have been very compassionate to you during the year. And, and recognize that through something like this. A reminder here that we need to reconsider the role of possessions in our lives and to make connections and have conversations about how we might make a different sort of change in the world. And we have a particular translation that we actually appreciate from the Beatitudes. Blessed are those who extend grace, for they shall discover that same warm compassion extended to them. And we would like this program to continue to be used by the congregation in that way. It has been widely supported. That's why we continue to work on it. The church has given usually between $25,000 and $35,000 to this program in a year.
Okay. So our time is really short. I can't thank you guys enough. This is amazing. I don't know what it is, but this year, I think, given what we're looking at around us, my adult children and some of my grandchildren, this is more meaningful than some object that life doesn't mean much to begin with and will definitely expire. So I totally support all the hard work that you all have put into this, because it really is an amazing resource of how we can make a difference in the world. There were a few other questions that perhaps you can address real fast before we tell you about our oncoming programs, and the time will be time to go to worship. But there was something about what was fun. You alluded to.
I did. it would have to be addressed on a case-by-case basis.
Oh,
For
okay.
example, we do support a wider circle with the budget of
With
the
the
church.
budget.
We do support to a small extent, the Gen Out program, and we do give to the Asian, the Foreman Christian College program. The budget receives,
Okay.
the budget is allocated to that, and proceeds from the endowment go to that, and then gifts. But gifts to this program have been the dominant gift to Foreman Christian College, for example. We don't give to Mexico Kids First except to this program. Same is true with My Dorm Room. It's a case-by-case basis.
And there is a link to Eden, we can get a link to Eden.
Yes, if you click, if you go to the website
Okay.
and go to serve and
Uh-huh.
down to alternative gifts, you can find the link and go directly through to giving,
Okay. And then
to
the
Eden
different-
Garden and to it. There's not information linking you to Faith Presbyterian Church there, but there's a link to
to,
a description and to donating there.
On our website.
On our website.
Okay, great. And then funds for youth mission versus youth conferences, is that?
The youth conferences this is basically for the usually justice and environmental focused trip to a particular site.
Okay,
That's not Montreat. It's not the other outings that the youth do. This supports the youth mission trip, which is an intergenerational outing every year. They went to Charleston last year. They've gone to West
Yes.
Virginia. They've gone
Yeah.
to other places. They don't have,
there is funding, I think, for the conferences, so. we're under
there's funding for the
Angel Corps.
conferences
Yeah.
through other means of fundraising and through the budget. There's $5,000 to those, particularly in the
And
mission
then,
budget.
yeah, the angel gift tree though, is that's still.
That's different. That's gifts for kids and local.
And that's for specific people and that information is available now.
That information is available in person here in the building. It's not online.
Okay.
And that continues, but it's not, it has been separated out from alternative giving so that it's a little bit clearer.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, I can't thank you all enough. I will say, just wanted all of our fans here that are so loyal to let you know that next Sunday, there will not be a formal program, but we encourage everyone to walk the labyrinth. And the following 2 Sundays are, we've got some really exciting programs about celebrating Christmas. Diane will tell us briefly about hers.
Sure.
And I'll just mention the other.
Sunday, December 3rd, second Sunday of Advent, we will have a presentation with myself and Jean Dudek. The Annunciation and the Magnificat as Midrash. Jean will be presenting the Annunciation in a storytelling. And I will be discussing the art of storytelling and poetry as Amy Jo Levine's Light of the World, Beginner's Guide to Advent, as she presents her Jewish perspective on the Gospel of Luke and the importance of angels, Mary, and her human family. And the lesson will focus on chapter 2 of that book, The Promise of Potential. And we will look at the good news in a new light. And then December 10th, we will have Dr. Bruce Everly come again, and he will discuss the 12 days of Christmas, the days between Christmas and Epiphany.
Whoa, sounds good.
Well, thank you so much. And can we give Thanksgiving to the community and as much as what we have to reach out into the world and support it in Christ's name.
Happy
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
Bonnie, data.
Good end.
Okay. Bonnie, well, nothing for